welcome back to the ABNF Podcast. Nick, we got a lot to talk about today. Break it down for us. What are we going to talk about? Because you know, and I know that some big news happened over the weekend.
No, absolutely. Especially everyone's talking about that Luka AD trade. Graham, obviously you're wearing that Dallas Mavericks jersey. Is that a Luka jersey, by the way?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh man, that's
I know.
tough. That's tough.
I'm
But
gonna have to burn it.
obviously the big topic of the day is the Dallas Mavericks,
Mhm.
Lakers, and Utah. I guess you could consider it a three-team deal, which I mean everyone's just talking about the two teams, but it was considered a three-team deal. And also there was another three-team deal with the Spurs, Sacramento, and our Bulls that finally made a trade at the deadline. I think what's it been like 4 years since they made a trade it's been a while
It's
since they made
been
a trade
it's
at
been
the
four
deadline.
years since the Vooch traded the
You
deadline.
know,
That was the last
and
time.
then obviously Zach Levine's been rumored to get moved for the last 2 years, and now
Yep.
it's finally happened. So, but obviously we're gonna dive more deep into the trade that everyone's gonna be talking about for a while.
Oh, 100%. You know that that trade is going to not just be something that impacts immediately, it's going to be for the next 10 to 15 years. This trade will be something we talk about in history for sure.
Absolutely. Mhm.
So, Nick, like you said, we are going to be discussing the Luka Dončić trade to the LA Lakers that sent Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks. And before I begin with this conversation, Nick, I know it's been since Christmas since the last time we uploaded, so we
Yeah.
apologize for the MIA. Unfortunately, we've just been busy. Nick had the honors of hosting the second ever NABL event over Dominican University over the weekend. So I just want to give a huge shout out to Nick and the program and how it continues to grow. And Nick, all of us at ABNF continued the best of success with that. And we really hope to see this continue to grow.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much,
Oh,
man.
of course, of course. And if you guys have not, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know your thoughts on this trade too, as we break it down. So, Nick, I'm going to let you go first on this trade. What were your initial reactions? What did you think about the trade? And where do you see this for both teams for not just this year, but moving forward?
First of all, just like everybody, I was in complete shock. I mean, especially a trade of this magnitude. This is honestly the biggest NBA trade shock in NBA history. I mean, two all NBA performers getting dealt when nobody knew what was going on. It was just the two GMs. The agents didn't know. Even, I guess you could say LeBron didn't even know what was going on. LeBron always knows what's going on. So the fact that they didn't know, and then this randomly comes about at like 11, 12 o'clock at night when a lot of people are sleeping. I didn't even know about the trade until you text me when I woke up at 6 a.m. the next morning. And everyone's like, yo, the trade, the trade, the trade. My phone's blowing up. I'm like, did the Bulls finally make? I'm like, did the Bulls finally make a move? So I go on my phone. I look at Sham's Twitter account. I thought his phone got hacked. I'm like, this got to be a fake account. There's no way. And then when I saw him on ESPN that morning, I'm like, holy shit, this is real. So definitely in shock there. But I would say this might sound crazy. I think the Mavericks won the trade in the short term, but obviously the Lakers won in the long term. Reason being is I believe Anthony Davis brings something to the Mavericks, especially from a defensive standpoint. I personally believe that Luka's like Josh Allen of the NFL or like Josh Allen in the NBA. I think he's too talented. I just don't ever see him winning the championship in Dallas. And I just think he has a better chance in the long run with the Los Angeles Lakers, if that makes sense. But obviously, the Mavericks are complete morons at the same time for trading a 25-year-old superstar that averaged literally 34 points per game last season. His career average is 28 point per game score. My eyes, and I think majority of people's eyes, he's a top 5 player in the world right now. And he's just got that global appeal, man. Obviously, he's from Slovenia, and like he's got the global marketing standpoint. Now he's playing with the Lakers. So his jersey is giving the number one jersey sale for the next decade, especially playing for the Lakers and everything else. And like the Lakers got their future star easily for the next decade. Like if they continue to make him happy, of course.
Mhm.
And the Lakers are finally starting to do what we said that they should have been doing a few years ago, starting to think about their long-term plans over the short-term plans. And it's just very interesting now that this is like the first time I think in LeBron's career, he has no control over this team anymore. This ain't his team no more. This is clearly Luka Doncic's team now. they know LeBron's 40. They know he's on his way out, this and that. And it's going to be very interesting to see. Well, LeBron said he wasn't going to try to request a trade or anything. So he's going to let this ride out and see, what happens and stuff like that. But I could go on and on about, Luka's, how he's been first team All NBA for 5 straight seasons, been a 5-time NBA All Star already. But I want to get into the comments that Nico Harrison said during his press conference. I believe
100%.
defense wins championships. Also said, I believe that getting an all defensive center and all NBA player with the defensive mindset gives us the better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. I think it's very interesting about the future part because AD, Kyrie, Clay, those guys are getting older.
Yep.
And then you just got rid of a generational talent that's 25 years old. I don't think this has ever happened in the NBA. A 25-year-old in his prime, considered top 5 player in the world, ever got dealt like this without even knowing, in the entire world not knowing what was going on.
Nick, I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. Let's just take this back real quick. So, it was Saturday night. I was downstairs with my wife, and we're just watching a documentary on HBO Max. It's like 11:30, and I'm not really thinking much.
Yeah.
And I just look at my watch, and I see Shams Charania like tweet, and I look at it, and I start reading it, and it says the LA Lakers have traded for Luka Dončić, and I was like, well, that just seems like he either has been hacked or this is a fake account.
Yeah.
And I go on my phone to just make sure that this isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And I open up the tweet and it's Sham's actual account. So now I'm thinking, holy shit, this is real. Like, I didn't think hacking it necessarily, but everybody, when I started sending this, oh, no way, no way, Shams got hacked. There's no way that this actually happened. Like, one of my boys was like, literally, he just kept saying, there's no way. So it's so funny when he's like, this isn't real. And then I send him the tweet where it says, no, this is real.
Yeah.
It was insane too, because uh I've never seen LeBron play. So for my birthday, I actually asked Katya to buy tickets for the Lakers Bucks game because it's cheaper than going to Chicago, right? She bought the tickets 1 hour before this trade happened.
Damn.
So she got a deal,
That's
and now they're
wild.
double what they were valued at. And we didn't expect that at all. So just to kind of give you like where I was in that night, like I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna go March 13th, go see the Lakers, see LeBron and AD play against Giannis and Dame. Like it'll be a good game. Finally get to see LeBron play one time in his career live
Yeah.
before he retires.
Mm-hmm.
This trade, man, I don't know for you, and I do agree with you when you mentioned about the short term. I do think that Dallas did win the short term just based on the needs that LA still has to get in order to really make this something where they could compete this year.
Yeah.
My first initial reaction was, why did it seem like Luka was traded for so little? Like, I know that 80 is perennial 10-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA first team, and 5-time All-NBA defensive team. Max Christie, who's been the starting shooting guard since JJ Redick implemented that lineup, I would say about 2 months ago. And then you give up one of your first round picks, your 2029. I just feel like it's highway robbery. I know that sounds
Long term, it's
crazy
highly robbery. So.
because the fact of the matter is that they gave a second round pick to the Jazz in this trade. And like you gave up a pick, you only get one first round pick. And no disrespect to AD, he's a great player, top 15 player in the league, one of the best defensive centers in the league, even though he doesn't consider himself to be a center.
No doubt.
But if the league knew he was going to be shopped around, could you imagine what some teams would be willing to give up to acquire him? Because I mean, I'm just thinking about it right off the bat. There were so many teams that have trade value in terms of not just players, but you also have all these draft picks. And Nick, I'm just gonna like go through the list real quick of like I just looked up, out of the last 7 years, some of the biggest trades that we've seen. We were talking about this one over the phone. Kevin Durant to Phoenix. What did the Suns get? They got Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. Now, the Nets traded Kevin Durant to the Suns. The Nets received Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Juan Pablo Villette, the 2023 first round pick, 2025 first round pick, 2027 first round pick, 2028 first round pick swap, 2028 second round pick swap, 2029 first round pick, and then the 2029 second round pick. That's 7 draft picks, right? And two players. Now, I'm
Mhm.
not saying that they're 80, but they're two good young players, and they even got and the Nets ended up getting more when they traded Mikal Bridges, which is another one that I'll talk about.
Yep. Mhm.
You know, let's talk about the Clippers, right? We always talk about this trade. Paul George, right? Paul George was received by the Clippers. They traded to the Thunder, SGA, who now is, I know he's your guy, top five player in the league,
Oh
right?
yeah, no doubt.
Daniil
Yeah.
Gallinari, the 2021 unprotected first rounder, which became Trey Mann, the 2022 first rounder that became Jalen Williams. So now they have two All-Stars.
Yeah.
2023 first round swap with the Clippers, the 2024 first round, 2025 first round, 2025 first round swap, and then the 2026 unprotected first round. And again, multiple draft picks,
Mhm.
players, right?
Yep.
Rudy Gobert. We've talked about this trade too.
Oh God. Yeah.
And to revisit this trade, they got Rudy Gobert for Malik Beasley, Patrick
Mhm.
Beverly, Leandro Bolomoro, Walker Kessler, which was the 2022 pick or the 22nd pick in the 2022 draft, Jared Vanderbilt. They got five picks. There was a 2023 first round, 2025 first round, 2027 first round, 2029 first round, and a 2026 pick swap. And he's not even a top 15 player.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's
Mhm.
also like insane of how much you're giving. Let's just
Yeah.
think about the Knicks this past like not even 7 months ago. The
Look at the.
Knicks get Mikal Bridges, man, and they gave the Nets Bojan Bogdanovic, Shake Milton, Mamadi Diakite, I think that's
Yeah.
make sure I'm not butchering that, and five first round picks. I'm not going to keep listing all of them. Donovan Mitchell. They gave up Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Okai Agabaji, and then five picks. Three were first round picks and two were pick swaps. And from multiple sources,
Mhm.
the main reason for Nico Harrison making this decision was Luka's conditioning issues
Yep.
and saying that, he ballooned up to 270 and the uncertainty of him re-upping, which he literally just negated today and said, no, I never said I would never sign this supermax extension. I would have done it in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Nico Harrison, bro, like he's got a chance to be up there with Garpax and AK and with like that kind of trade.
Yeah. Not only that, Luca, if he was thinking about not signing that extension, why the hell would he just buy a $15 million home a week ago? He
Exactly.
literally just bought I mean, there's reports. Who knows if it's true or not? But literally, it just got reported he bought a $15 million home in Dallas literally a week ago. Then he gets traded. Now he's got to put it right back on the market.
I mean, AD just bought a massive house also in Cali, and now either he sells the house or he keeps it and just uses it as a summer home. But either way, I mean,
Mhm.
this trade, and Nick, I don't know what this trade, like again, I think everybody has said this. Any
Yeah.
podcast you've listened to,
Mhm.
anybody in like sports world has
Mhm.
said there's something more to this trade that we do
100%.
not know about. Because
Yeah.
there's no way that a man who is eligible for a $350 million max extension this summer is going to turn that money down. One.
Mhm.
Two, he loves Dallas. Three, he just led them to the finals.
Mhm.
So what really gives? Because clearly we can talk about conditioning. Sure.
Yeah.
He hasn't been healthy this year. The calf strain that he's been out since Christmas, right?
Mhm.
But do we really think it's just the conditioning? Like, I feel like there was already beef or something more that was going on behind the scenes that nobody really knows about except for a couple few. Because I cannot imagine you're giving up a 2020, you're giving up a 20, I don't want to say 2025 so
Yeah.
easily, a
Mhm.
25-year-old superstar who's made an All-NBA team each year he's been in the league, and he has
Yeah.
led his team not only to the Western Conference Finals, but the finals last year. I know that the Celtics were a much better team because
Mhm.
of what they had, but it wasn't like Luka all of a sudden shriveled up in the finals or even in the playoffs. He actually has better averages in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. He literally won the scoring title last year. So I
I,
just don't
I,
understand this.
yeah, no, I get it. I think I think here's the thing, and I think he's totally wrong for viewing it this way. Nico Harrison was viewing this Luka Dončić version of the Dallas Mavericks like how Harden was in Houston, prime Harden in Houston. Guys, the leading scorer, ball dominance, dominates, he just has the ball all the time in his hands, can't play a lick of defense to save his life. And I think he just truly believes that like he wants to get better perimeter defense, better defense up front, and let Kyrie take the reins. And he believes that that version is better than just having Luka have the ball in his hands, every single possession. I don't know. I'm just telling you what he might be thinking. He
Yeah,
might
no, for sure. For
like
sure.
how Harden was in Houston, and he doesn't want that to happen in Dallas. I
I
don't
mean,
know. Especially, I think he believes that obviously there's the conditioning concerns. Apparently, like there's been significant frustrations and the lack of his discipline regarding his diet, which has been reported by ESPN analysts and stuff like that. What's very interesting? This actually got reported too. I
mhm.
guess late November this year or last year, Luka Dončić sat out for 5 games, and the Mavericks claimed it was a sprained right wrist issue. There's
Mhm.
reports coming out that they sat him out because they wanted him to literally work on his conditioning. Now
I did hear about that.
I don't know how true that is. That's kind of crazy that you could tell the NBA, oh yeah, he's got a sprained right wrist, but in reality, it was never a wrist issue. Apparently, he weighed so much, he was not in shape whatsoever. He had issues going up and down the court during practice scrimmages and stuff that they literally told him, you're not playing until you're in shape.
I mean, if this has been an ongoing, see, but the problem is they've been saying this has been an ongoing issue, and he played 100 plus games last year. So where was this like decline? I think the other one that I've heard a lot of from not just like analysts, but other NBA personalities keep talking about that Nico Harrison and the front office views him more like a Joel Embiid, where his body will not be able to withstand the NBA long term, and that he's going to break down by his late 20s.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, maybe. I mean, we don't know.
I don't know.
Luka is a little bit of a heavier set guy, but I've never really seen him the same way. And this is not to target Zion. This is the
Mhm.
only person I could really think of.
Yeah.
But Zion, like you can really see the weight issues, and he's never been able to play a full healthy season. And Luka has missed games for sure. The
Mhm.
only problem is that when Luka's been on the floor, he has been the most consistent person for Dallas. And I just think that it's hard to justify this risk. Like,
Mhm.
I think their roster definitely has the ability to be a win now team. I
Yeah.
mean, when you look at it, you got Max Christie now, who's going to be playing minutes behind Spencer Dinwiddie. You
Mhm.
still got Kyrie, you got Clay, you got AD now as your power forward, which is crazy. We never thought that AD was going to be playing power forward again
Yeah.
after the last couple of years where he's been the censor for the Lakers and because the league has gotten smaller. But
Mhm.
once you have Derek Lively back, you got Daniel Gafford as well. So you got two really good centers, young centers. You got PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, who are
Mhm.
going to also be key guys that they're going to be using in the playoffs. I think this team definitely has a lot. I think that and now with the Caleb Martin addition today, with that trade getting rid of
Yep.
Quentin Grimes,
Mhm.
you have a pretty good team to win, like be in a win now mode. But I think the problem with this is, Nick, you're really risking it all for a guy, no offense to AD, but he's
Mhm.
never been the number one option. Can you really trust Kyrie to be the number one option too? You're really banking it off of two guys who've been better as number twos their whole career, and both of them have played with LeBron. And
Mhm.
what were they with
Won a
LeBron,
championship with LeBron.
right? But they were
Mhm.
number two options. Now you're asking both of these guys to be either the one and two. They're going to
Mhm.
have a nasty pick and roll game. I know that 80 is going to average 28 and 12.
Yeah.
He's going to average his own.
Mhm.
But what happens when he gets hurt? Because I mean, we've all seen it. Every
Mhm.
time it seems like this guy, if he gets hit in one weird way, it's either his wrist, his leg, his eye, I mean, his abs. I mean, he's with an abdominal strain right now.
Yep.
So what happens when you see these injuries? I mean, Clay's older. You're really banking off your
The next 2 years.
yeah, like you're banking off the next 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
And who's to say that the Lakers don't get a center? I mean, we're really discounting the Lakers right now. Like a lot of people has been crazy. Jeff Teague's podcasts are like the Lakers are going to fall off. I'm like, dog, what are you talking about? They
Yeah.
literally just beat the Knicks with no AD, and the Knicks were fully healthy. I don't
Yeah.
think they're going anywhere right now,
Mhm.
especially the way that JJ's been coaching them. Now the question is like, how does Luka and LeBron fit together? Because I think this is a really weird pairing,
Yeah.
but this is something that I was thinking about, Nick, but this is something that LeBron has always wished that he's had somebody that can really create the same way that Kyrie could, where you can
Yeah.
stagger the minutes. It's
Mhm.
like, wouldn't you think about possibly staggering their minutes where it's like one guy's on the floor, the other guy's off the floor, and you just don't have, like you have like the two of them will play at the end of the game together,
Yeah.
but you're not necessarily going to just rely off of one guy. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah.
What you were going to say about that?
No, what's very interesting about this trade, just like we talked about with the Mavericks having this 2, 3 year window, like they better win. If they
Mhm.
don't win these next 2, 3 years, and they're going to be like an aging team now,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden LeBron leaves, Lakers have all this cap space. They got Luka, and he's an MVP within the next 2, 3 years. People are going to start wanting to go play with Luka in LA, and the Lakers could be dominant again for the next decade. Who knows how many championships they could win, but they could be a title contender for the next 10 years just because they got their successor now after LeBron. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
what's very interesting is just like you said, like when we brought up like the trades in the past with like the other players like KD,
Mhm.
Mitchell, all those other guys, like how in the world you trade Luka, right? If you're gonna trade him with the Lakers, right? You want AD and you really believe like Anthony Davis just fits better to win a championship, okay, cool. I would have taken all of the Lakers' first round draft picks, or you take two of the first round draft picks, you should have got either Dalton Connect or Austin Reeves. How the hell did the Lakers end up getting Luka Dončić and not even having to give up Dalton Connect or Austin Reeves? Rob Pelinka is goaded for this.
Oh,
Like,
oh yeah.
how the hell did he pull this off? When I first read the trade, I'm like, okay, they must have given up all their first round draft capital like Phoenix did, right? When they made all their trades and stuff to get Bill, KD, and all those guys. And they must have gave them the haul. And I look at the trade, I'm like, no offense to Max Christie and all. I know he's been playing great since he's been in the starting lineup and stuff, but wouldn't you rather have Connect or Austin Reeves in the future?
I mean, I definitely would if I was Nico Harrison, I'm gonna want guys that I can play in about 5 to 6 years, and they're not gonna be retiring the year after.
No, no, for sure. Especially like now Kyrie's going to be the main guy with the ball in his hands. You just got rid of Luka. So Kyrie's going from the 2 to the 1. Wouldn't you want to have Austin Reeves then?
Well,
Especially
Nick,
he's proven that like he can actually perform in big games. We all remember what he did in that game 1 against Memphis. He took over that game in the playoffs 2 years ago.
yeah, 2 years ago, you're talking about AD in the first game against
Yeah, when they kept
Memphis.
running the pick
Yeah,
and roll, Reeves was just cooking them game 1 in
yeah.
Memphis. They were the 7th seed. But yeah, that's why I was thinking. I'm like, so you gave up a top 3, 5 player in basketball. You got one first round pick out of it. I get it. You got a perennial all star and an all NBA talent,
Mhm.
but like you couldn't even get their first or second best young talent. That's what doesn't make sense to me in all this.
Well, here's
That's
here's the
just no.
okay. Well, there's two things. All right, one, Kyrie Irving is a free agent this summer. That's the biggest risk with this trade too, is like you have no idea if Kyrie re-ups now because you traded away Luka. I don't think
Yeah.
nobody knew about this trade. Like you said earlier,
Yeah.
LeBron didn't even know about this trade.
Danny
So
Ainge
how
didn't
do
know
you,
about the trade. He was part of the deal.
yeah,
Technically, part of the deal.
yeah. I mean, I mean, that's the thing is like it was so seal tight that you didn't see anything, no rumors, no leaks, no nothing, right? So when you think about this as well, the other thing about the Rob Pelinka aspect was that in the original trade, they did include Dalton Connect and that additional pick. But
Yeah.
Rob Pelinka was able to convince Nico Harrison, like, hey, I'm taking a huge risk. You're saying that Luka is overweight. Luka has a conditioning issue. Luka could end up getting hurt. Well, I don't want to just give you AD and all of my draft assets for a guy that might not be, good enough. And also, you don't want this to leak out because then you're going to have the whole backlash with Luka, and now you could lose him for a lot less. So I'm going to offer you this. And I'm sure, again, the original trade was probably something around the lines of 80, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, those two first round picks, probably a second round pick as well. And I'm
Mm.
sure that, you know, due to all of all the stories that Nico Harrison was giving to Rob Pelinka, Rob was able to convince him to say, hey, I'm taking a huge swing here.
Yeah.
You got to meet me in the middle. And credit to Rob Pelinka, man. He has been able to do a lot. We've talked about this on the podcast when the Lakers did the big trade of Russell Westbrook 2 years ago. They were able to make that Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, um, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Mo Bamba. And it just kind of felt like Rob Pelinka was able to take that terrible contract away and
Mhm.
bring them guys that ended up helping them make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
You can even talk about the AD trade. In retrospect, New Orleans lost that trade so poorly. I mean, that trade has not aged well for them. They
Yep.
don't have any of those guys on their team anymore. AD
Mhm.
won a championship with the Lakers, and
Mhm.
now you're giving the Lakers another generational piece in his not even in his prime yet, in 25.
Mhm.
All right, I gotta ask you this before we go to break, Nick. That February 25th game, if Luka plays, what do you think he drops?
I wonder what the over under is going to be in that game on a betting line. But if he's like full go, like this, like um, at least a 40 pace. Because who on Dallas is going to guard him?
That's the
Kyrie can't
problem.
guard nobody.
Yep.
They're probably going to stick Caleb Martin on him or something. But still, like Luka's going to want to destroy them, and it's bad because the Dallas Mavericks fan base is so pissed off by this. Did you see that season ticket holders gave up their tickets?
Yep.
Mavericks are paying them $2,000 so they don't have to pay for the season tickets no more. Not only that, they lost. I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but somebody they lost over 700,000 followers on their Twitter page. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's just a wild thing if that's true. But like, I can see why they're pissed off.
I mean, I would understand too. You traded your franchise piece for an aging star.
Yeah.
Again, AD is a great player,
Mhm.
but you gave the Lakers somebody that's going to torment them for the next 10 to 12 years. I don't blame people for being upset. People
Mhm.
paid good money to want to go see Luka Dončić play for the Dallas Mavericks. Why the hell
Yeah.
do they want to go see this product now? If that's what they didn't care about, then
Yep.
I don't blame them for wanting to either sell their tickets or want refunds. And
Yep.
yeah, there was a bunch of angry fans. Did you see they brought the coffin literally right outside the arena? I mean, this is a very big statement saying like nobody's ever seen a trade like this. We've heard this from so many people already, but this is a trade that we've never seen happen in our lifetime. I mean, think about it. The last time crazy trades like this happened, Nick, we were nowhere near existence. Will
No.
Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are like the other two like big ones that a lot of like sports historians and sports media has been talking about,
Yeah.
like in terms of the impact of the trade. But
Yeah.
we've never seen a top five guy get moved like this in the dead of night with nobody else having any idea. I mean, look at Jason Kidd. The dude looks defeated. Homie's like, the reason I came here was to coach Luka. You
Yeah.
literally traded him away.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man. Yeah, not only that, too, what's going to give Lucas so much more motivation is just like you brought up with that contract. It would have been a 5-year, $345 million offer sheet. And he said literally in the presser, he was going to sign her right away to stay in Dallas because he wanted to be in Dallas forever. Now, this is why the Lakers hit the lottery. Not only, just like I said, they didn't get rid of Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, and they could get Luka potentially if Luka decides to sign the 5-year deal instead of going the short term route for a little bit so he could build it up at $100 million discount, $116 million discount. Do you want the exact number? Rob Pelinka, I don't know how he got Scott Harrison to do this, but man, did he hit the grand slam with this one?
Oh, we all know, man. We all know.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come
Mhm.
back, we're gonna talk more about the impact that this will have on Nico Harrison, the impact that it will have on the rest of the season, what we'll expect to see moving forward, and will this continue to keep LeBron in the league longer than we think? Because I think that these are all going to be things that everybody's going to be asking. So
Yep.
stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Welcome back, guys. We are in our second half of this special ABNF podcast episode talking about the Luka Doncic and AD trade, but we're
Mhm.
also going to talk about the Sacramento Kings trade which I know, Nick, you mentioned at the beginning of the episode that I forgot to mention before we went to break, but we are going to talk about that as well because I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of implications that this will also have for the future of the league
Yep.
and especially for the Spurs because they hit a home run on this one. And this is something where, again, just like we were talking about the future of Nico Harrison, look, man, you already took the L because you traded away Luka, and then to see what the Kings got in return for De'Aaron Fox does not make you look any better.
No.
So let's just talk about the rest of this Mavericks trade. So one of the topics that I think that we should still discuss a little bit more about is the implications of what could happen in the next 2 to 3 years, I think can cost Nico Harrison his job. I think that if Luka does end up, let's just say, for the sake of argument,
Mhm.
he conditions better. I mean, he's going to have LeBron as his teammate. So you can already imagine what LeBron's going to do to help him get into shape.
100%.
If Luka can shave off 20 pounds, get put on some more muscle, and really just focus on his craft,
Mhm.
they are going to really be sorry in about 2 to 3 years that they ever traded this guy because he will be at the peak of his powers.
Yep.
He will attract people to come to LA. And
Mhm.
like you said, they're getting him at a steal. They got him at a steal. He's friends with his coach. I mean, it's like you gave him a great situation to go to, and people in LA are gonna love Luca. So
100%. I got a question for
yeah,
you, actually. I just thought about this because we talked about this on a few episodes.
yeah,
How we talked about how the NBA was trying to get Anthony Edwards to be the face of the
mhm.
NBA. Now that Luca is on the Lakers, you there's no way around not letting him be the face of the NBA now
You
because
know,
of where he's at now.
it's actually
It's
funny.
definitely Luca now. There's
Yeah.
no debate now. There's
Oh no,
literally no debate.
100%, 100%. It's actually funny you mentioned that because we did talk about that, I think, a couple episodes back about how the NBA doesn't do a good job at um, commercializing a lot of the players that are outside of LeBron, Steph, and
American,
yeah,
right?
and KD, right? So I think this is the opportunity where you start marketing for a lot of the more the European players because we started to see it with Giannis and Wemby. I've started to see them more on commercials, but
Yeah,
now you're going to have Luka in LA. So you're going to have him in the Mecca of Hollywood where we've seen LeBron really become that advertiser and you're seeing him on every draft, DraftKings commercial with Kevin Hart, and he's in a bunch of other commercials with
yeah,
like Kia and other, companies. So
yeah.
can we see the same thing happen for Luca? Because I think that people will be more interested in a younger guy who also like he's funny, like he's a funny guy. So he's just very chill. But I think that we need to start seeing that because the NBA, again, LeBron is going to retire, Curry's going to retire, Kevin Durant's going to retire. We need to have guys that are able to carry the league because we've seen before all these trades happen,
Mhm.
it just feels like to me, man, this year has been a year that's been uneventful for the NBA. Nobody's really been talking about it. It kind of seems like the ratings have been falling off a cliff.
Mhm.
And the other thing too is like it's pretty sad that this is what it needed to take in order for people to get interested in basketball again. What do you think about that?
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, like, I think ever since like 2020, like the ratings, it's not just we talked about this too. It's not only just basketball; it's just sports in general now because of all these streaming. And
Mhm.
we gave our takes on why we believe that that's what it is now. But it's just I still can't believe it, dude. Like I literally watched the introduction of Luca to the Lakers. I'm like, this doesn't even look real. Like it literally does not look real at all. And the way that Luca was answering questions, he's like, dude, what is he like? I think he's still like shooken up by it. Like he's just like, what? Like, am I in a dream? I just haven't woke up yet or something. But no, dude, this is actually reality now. You're about to see him in purple and gold for probably the next 12 to 15 years.
I could not get off mute right there. I do agree with you. I do think he's going to probably sign an extension. If it's not this year, it might be next year, depending on, how he wants to go about this.
Yeah.
But he said that there was like two spots that he would sign an extension with long term, which was Miami and LA. So again, Nico Harrison, thank you for gifting the Lakers another generational talent that we'll have to see in the purple and gold for another 10 plus years. And for Dallas fans, I'm sorry that this has happened to you. We as Bulls fans can understand your pain because we have very incompetent GMs that don't know how to make trades, and we end up giving way more than what we're getting in return, and we're giving the best player in half these trades. So irony right there, right?
No.
Um, I really do want to see this work out, obviously for 80 as well.
Mhm.
I don't know why I just cannot get over the fact that I just feel like Dallas is not going to be able to beat like I don't think they'll be able to beat certain teams, and I don't know why because they have such a huge front court advantage. I think I'm just so worried about their injuries. And I just don't know, can you win a championship with Kyrie and AD
Yeah.
as your one and two?
Yeah. You know what's interesting too is like they're currently the ninth seed in the West.
Yeah,
And the Lakers, I think, are the
the
fifth
fifth.
seed in the
Yep.
West currently. So it's very interesting that the Lakers, as the fifth seed, they decide, hey, we're going to go with the long term route, not necessarily the short term route. Because even though they did add Luka, they have a lot of holes on this team now. They don't have any bigs. Like who's going to guard if they got to play Denver, if they got to play Oklahoma, they got to play now the Dallas Mavericks. Like who's going to guard these guys? Who's going to guard these bigs? And Luka can't guard nobody to save his life. I mean, we could probably score on Luka if we're playing him one on one up to 11. I guarantee you, I'll get a bucket. I'll get one bucket on him. That's it. I'll get my ass kicked, but I'll get one
Hey,
bucket on him. So if I could get a bucket on him, then like, I'm just telling you, like I just think the Lakers defensively, LeBron's not a good defensive player no more. Like they're gonna be horrible defensively. Now they still don't have that many like shooters either. So like the Lakers, it's But I get where they're coming from with this trade. Like even if they had AD and the role players were playing at their best, LeBron and AD were playing at their
mm,
best, what were they going to be at best? A conference semifinal exit? Maybe they win
yeah.
around.
I mean, I think that this would probably be the easiest year to beat a team
Yeah.
like Denver because they have no shooting. So it's like, but they play well against the Lakers. So actually, who knows? They probably would have still lost that series.
Do you know what my prediction is going to be?
All right,
Watch
let's hear
the
it.
Mavericks and the Lakers end up as a matchup in the play-in.
I I could see that. I
That would
see.
be nuts. That's something what the NBA needs. They need that to be a play-in matchup to get people watching.
I mean, that would be great, but I also think the Mavericks could, once Lively comes back from injury, like I'm looking at the standings right now. So
Yeah.
Lakers are 28 and 19 and fifth. The Mavericks are 26 and 24 and eighth.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they're literally 2.5 games back from six. I mean, let's just say for the sake of
When
argument,
is AD coming back though?
that's the thing too. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
So they could
we don't
drop for
know.
sure. But I mean, they have pieces, so it's not, and they've already been winning without Luka, but
Mhm.
I'm just going to like make this case as well. I agree with you with what you're saying about, yeah, the Lakers kind of went from like, oh, should we win now to, hey, let's build for the future. Because it definitely, yeah, that trade was definitely for the future. But what I will argue for the Lakers, which I don't think enough people are giving credit for, and again, I'm not here to say I'm a Lakers fan because I know some people say, oh, you're just showing that you're a Lakers fan. I don't necessarily agree that they don't have defense because I think about their perimeter defenders. I think they have good perimeter defenders. I think that they lack anything in the front court. Yeah, they're a nightmare. I mean, they have
They
no
better make
type of
another
rim
move at the
defense.
deadline if they
Yeah,
really want
like
to get
they really,
striker.
and that's the thing too, is like I really think this Mavericks trade could blow up in their face because let's say that they do play in the playoffs. Like let's say that they somehow become the 4 and 5 matchup. We're just gonna throw that out there. I don't think that's what would happen. A play-in matchup more likely, like them as a 7-8. I could see that, right? If you let's say they get Walker Kessler at the trade deadline, right?
Okay.
They didn't have to give up Austin Reeves. They didn't have to give up Dalton Connect. They didn't have to give up Rui Hachimura. They were able to keep all those guys. So if they wanted to trade one of those guys with a pick, because again, they have the other first round pick, now you have a rim defender. Who the hell is going to guard Luka and LeBron? And if you play a lineup where you have Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith, I think that that can at least help you cover up some of your lack of defense from those two. And again, I think that, yeah, it's like literally playing against two traffic cones. So you basically are playing 3 on 5 for sure. But I do think that they have enough offense, and especially the way that JJ has implemented this system, I think that they still are going to be a dangerous matchup for a lot of teams if they can get a rim defender. And that's going to be my one contingent. If they don't, if they get nothing, bro, they're going to probably be like the 9 seed because they have no size at all, and that's going to start piling into losses. And if Luka and LeBron don't end up fitting with each other, like it's going to be a nightmare of there. And we could see LeBron possibly leaving. Now, the rumor is that he wants to sign an extension and he's okay with playing with Luka as his running mate.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna only ask this one time for you, Nick. Do you think with Luka, let's say, I'm not saying this year, because I don't think that they'll win this year, but let's say that LeBron stays and they're able to, I don't know, get maybe a piece or two. Do you think that they can win a championship? Do you think LeBron can get ring number five with Luka? Because it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question, but I'm gonna go with no.
Okay.
Now, do I think they can make some noise? Sure, they can make some noise. I mean, when you have two players like that, of course you can make noise. Of course you could advance in the playoffs and stuff, but to win a championship, I just don't know, man. I just think these teams like Oklahoma is getting better every single season.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, Boston's on this win though right now. They still got their guys locked up for another
Yep.
few years as well. And me personally, I still think they're the team to beat. I know they're not number one in the East, but when their starting five is healthy, I just don't see a team that's going to beat them in the 7-game series. I just don't see it unless if there's a wild move that happens where somehow KD gets traded somewhere. Like something else nuts is going to have to happen for me to change my mind about that. But I would say no. The answer is no. I don't think LeBron's going to win another championship before he walks away.
I respect it. I don't think I think it would have to still be they would have to get not just a center this year, but they would have to get another like bigger piece that can really cover up these holes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's impossible because I just look at how the league has become more, again, it's kind of funny. We've kind of seen this like shift of small ball back to centers do make an impact. And it's just kind of like the league is not as big as it once was. So you don't necessarily have to have more than one to two bigs to be impactful. I think it's going to really just come down to what happens when these two play with each other. How good does the offense look? Are they able to? And again, defense wins championships. That's the one thing that Nico Harrison talked about.
Mhm.
That's the thing that they would have to figure out. I don't think that they're going to be able to, but it would be cool to see a. I think it would be just be cool to see LeBron in one more finals. I'm not banking on it either. I think it would just be a cool thing to see one more time. I mean, let's think about it. Like, how many times are we going to really say, like, hey, we saw this 40-something-year-old literally make the play or make the finals, and he was still at a very top level. Like,
Yeah.
we've never seen that. So that's just the only thing that I would be curious to see. I do think OKC should still be considered the favorite. They don't even have Chet Holmgren. Hardenstein's been in and out, and they're 39-9. They have a 6-game cushion on Memphis right now in the West, and I just don't see like Memphis winning out in the West or the Rockets and the Nuggets.
Um,
Dude, I saw them live. They can't shoot threes to save their life. Um, I mean, they lost to the Bulls. The Bulls shot 54 threes, man. It is insane. They actually made more threes than the Nuggets attempted,
which
which is
yeah,
insane. So,
no, it's definitely insane. But I will say this about them going back on the Mavericks real
mhm.
quick. Oklahoma can't beat the Mavericks.
Yeah, that is good. That's a
They,
good
they,
point.
they lost to them in the playoffs last year, and I think they lost to them. I think they played each other twice this year. They lost both times. So for some reason, I mean, and Luka wasn't even my playing. I mean, like,
Yeah,
so it's like they have their number, man. And what
it
do we
would be a
talk about
matchup
Oklahoma
they don't want to
City?
see.
Yeah, what do we
Yeah.
talk about Oklahoma City? Their issue still is their front court technically.
Mhm.
The Dallas Mavericks have the best front court in basketball now. It's not
They
even a
do. Oh, they do. 100%.
it's not even a debate, and it's very interesting to see. Like, are they going to make a move? Are they going to trade Gafford now? Like, what? Like, how
I've
are
been
they going to
seeing
keep
that.
all three of them? So obviously, Gafford's been rumored a little bit, but like, they just traded for Caleb Martin. So like, are they going to let him fill that role as the
Third
two
score.
guard? Yeah, like that kind of thing. Or they believe in PJ Washington a lot. Like Klay Thompson's going to be getting wide open looks because
Mhm.
Kyrie's going to create a lot of attention in AD in the post. So like, I'm honestly just waiting for like it's shocking to me that like Oklahoma has not been rumored in anything at this deadline. I understand what the record is, what the record says, but playoff basketball is totally different, man. And I'm just telling you, man, they do not want to see the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs
Nick,
if they're going into this playoffs healthy.
I agree with you. I've been saying this though. The Thunder need to call Brooklyn and try and get Cam Johnson. You have so many draft picks. Just give two up. That you cannot tell me, Sam Presti. You don't have to give
Walker
up.
Kessler. I mean, Jesus Christ, do
You don't.
something.
Yeah, you need to get a little bit more size because the problem with Chet Holmgren is again the health. The reason why I think that OKC could still win the West, I'll give you my prediction right now. I do think that OKC and Dallas could easily be the Western Conference Finals matchup just based on everything we've been seeing this year. I think that Houston's too young. I don't think that they have enough experience in terms of a lot of their younger guys to win in the playoffs. We saw this with Memphis against the Lakers. The Lakers, the veteran team, beat them because they knew how to play in the playoffs
Yeah,
versus Memphis. I can see the same thing happening in Houston. They've been great this year. Dude, they're the only team that's beaten both Boston and OKC multiple times. So that
definitely
like
exceeded expectations for sure.
yeah,
No one saw this coming.
yeah. I would just say like
Antonio
I
could be interesting now.
yeah.
I know
Oh
we haven't gotten to that
yeah.
trade, but that
We'll definitely talk about this.
yeah,
But yeah, just to finish this, I'll give that as my Western Conference Finals matchup. Just I'm looking at the standings right now, and the Timberwolves are just kind of they've regressed for sure. The Kings will be interesting. They're going to be a playing team. I'm not going to lie to you. Like we've already seen DeMar and Zach together. We'll talk a little bit more about this trade.
work with the
But
Kings. I like what else they got in
yeah,
return. We'll get
oh
in.
my God, yeah, that was great. But we've already seen this in Chicago, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would probably say that's a very likely matchup. Dallas would be built to beat the Nuggets 2 years ago.
yeah,
This would have been a great team to use against Denver because you wouldn't just have 80, you would also have Lively to be able to combat against Jokic, which was how the Lakers beat the Nuggets back in 2020. This is again a good team and a good example of how you can beat a team with size.
yep.
They would be a very bad matchup for the Celtics in terms of size because you would have AD being able to guard Kristaps. So again, we have to see what happens, but I am a little concerned if this blows up in their face.
I
That's the
know.
only concern because of the injuries.
Okay.
Nick, let's talk about the other trade that
Yep.
happened on Sunday. It kind of felt like we thought, hey, Luka got traded. Okay, great. You know what? We probably won't hear anything until the trade deadline. And then the next night, Shams drops another one on us. So Nick,
Yep.
you take it away. What happened on Sunday night for those who still do not know about that news?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So obviously the Spurs got the guy that everyone's been saying that they've been trying to get for a while, De'Aaron Fox. They also got Jordan McLaughlin.
Yep.
That's the name. And then, but this is what's crazy to me is I thought the Kings won this trade. Me personally, I understand they didn't get normally it's whoever gets the best player. I understand De'Aaron Fox to me is better than Zach LaVine. I think majority of people would say the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Kings got an all-starish level player, okay, with Zach LaVine. They also got 3 first-round picks, one from Charlotte in 25, one from the Spurs in 27, and Minnesota in 31, and 3 second-round picks. So they got an all-starish level-ish player
Hmm.
with 6 picks.
Yeah.
And then obviously here's the Bulls. They get Zach Collins. I got to say this with so much depression right now. Okay, I'm going to Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter. Hey, guess what, Graham? We get our own rights. We get our pick back, baby. We get our 2025 first round pick from the San Antonio Spurs. So the Bulls have traded Caruso, DeMar, Levine, Drummond. We traded all these guys. We don't get one first round pick from another team. You can't make this shit up. So all we get is our own pick back.
Hey, Nick, it's okay, man. We didn't trade away Luka at least, so we couldn't even do that one. So at least we didn't do
Oh,
that.
oh my God. And the thing is, like, Zach Collins, okay, he's solid. He's okay. Young guy, could develop, but we have all these forwards. Trey Jones, we have all these young guards where I don't see where he fits on this team. I mean, now there's actually rumors that the Bulls are trying to trade Lonzo Ball for multiple second round picks. I don't know how accurate that is. I do think he's going to get moved, though. I really believe
You think Zoe is going to get
him
moved?
or Vooch are going to move. I don't think the Bulls are going to get both trade deals done, but I think at least one of them is going to go.
I think Vooch could definitely go. His contract is very desirable. Zoe's on a expiring deal too, which makes it a little bit harder for teams to want to give more. So he'd probably be second round compensation. I did read a report though earlier saying that they're actually thinking about keeping him and signing him to an extension just based how he's played this year, which I don't know why you would do that if you're Chicago, but AK makes no sense. Also, real quick, Nick, before I give it back to you,
Yeah.
apparently also Trey Jones and Kevin Huerter might also get traded again.
Yep.
There was a rumor about that as well that they could get moved again. And I know that Chicago's really eyed Kevin Huerter for a while, so it's like, why would you trade the guy you wanted? I don't know. I mean, it's Chicago basketball, man. It makes no sense.
The Bulls
What is
roster
it?
makes zero sense right now. I don't get it. It all started with as soon as this front office took over and took Patrick Williams with the fourth overall pick. I know we don't want to talk about the Bulls.
We don't need it. We don't need to talk about the
They're
Bulls.
they're
We've
they're a part of this trade,
yeah.
and trade an all-stars level player yet again, and
Wait,
we don't even get a first. We get our own pick back. That's what we
Nick,
got, our own
you
pick back.
forgot, Nick. We gave up a second round pick. The most Bulls thing you can do. Give more compensation to get rid of the second best player in this trade to get garbage. No offense, but what we
I
got was
agree. I
garbage.
completely agree. I'm looking at these names. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what we got. I can't with the Bulls, but I don't know what to say. Just like you said, at least we didn't trade Luka,
Yeah,
but like, damn, at least they were relevant for the last like 4 or 5 years.
that is true, and they did
And they
get
made the
80.
finals.
Yeah, they got 80, but I can imagine a Mavs fan read this trade and was like, we couldn't even get more than one first round pick for Luca, and Derriere and Fox gets three first round picks,
And
3 seconds, and Zach LaVine.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like it literally makes no sense. Like I get it though. The Kings, to me, like the whole Levine and DeMar thing is going to be the same. And
Oh yeah, it's not going to
Sabonis is
change.
kind of like Vooch. He's like a low post kind of player. He'll go step on and hit a perimeter shot once in a while and stuff. So I don't see that really working out. I just think the Kings did it because make DeMar someone happy if they plan on keeping him for a few more
Yeah,
years. And the Kings got draft capital now.
they do,
So like they got some pieces like
and they got Charlotte's 2025 first round
yeah.
pick,
So
so
I
that
mean
could be really
wonder
good.
I wanted to see if the Kings will make some moves, maybe not at this time, maybe at the deadline if they want to, or maybe
Mhm.
just somewhere down the line, like in their future. So we'll see what happens, you know. But again, I'm just I don't know what else to say about the Bulls. So I mean, I'm just
we, we we beat that like a dead horse, man. There's no coming back. I mean, you got Bulls fans crashing out every day because they have to see the product that AK decides to make out of these trades. So, I mean, like you said, Nick, I think it was a big win for the Kings in this trade, even though the best player that was traded was to the Spurs, which they were the ones that gave that player. But
yeah.
the fact that the Kings, and here's the thing too. It is crazy that the Spurs only had to give up Trey Jones and Jordan McLaughlin
Mhm.
in this trade. They kept Devin Vassell, they kept Jeremy Sochan,
Mhm.
they kept Keldon Johnson,
Castle.
and they kept Stephon
A
Castle.
lot of people said that he needed to be in this deal if this was going to work,
And that's
and
what
it
I had
ended up
imagined.
Castle.
Dude,
So
Castle
this
and
was a win
Fox
for the Spurs
backcourt.
as well. We're not going to discredit
Yeah.
what the Spurs did. I
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just shocked to see the draft capital that the Kings got out of this, especially while even acquiring an all-stars level talent.
And I need to call this out real quick, but
Mhm.
this is exactly why I don't like watching ESPN because you got Mad Dog Russo saying, "What can the Spurs give? They have nothing." And then I remember that Shams goes, "No, they have 9 draft picks." Do you see those draft picks? This is literally what they could do. They could
Yeah.
give the Kings a King's ransom for De'Aaron Fox, who again, he's a great player, all-star level player. You know, he's not going to be a world beater by any means, not a top 10 player, but I would definitely argue he's in the top 25 in the league right now.
Oh, for
And to
sure.
pair him up with Wemby, this is great. I mean, you're really advancing that timeline with Wemby, where I think they can make the playoffs this year because now you have De'Aaron Fox and you got Stephon Castle, who's been great already. He's going to be part of the dunk contest too. This team is making really good moves. They're also a very well run organization. This is what happens when you have competent people in your front office. So, Chicago, take some notes. Learn how to actually do your job correctly because sometimes you can also be like the Spurs and get good value. So, um,
We're gonna wake up in the morning. The Bulls traded Vooch at 3 a.m. for a second round draft pick.
dog, I'm gonna crash out of my house after I see that, man. That's I'm not even gonna go into work, bro.
Oh yeah,
My
it's
boss
very
gonna
it's
ask
the
why aren't
worst.
you at work?
No, yeah.
I saw Vooch get traded for a second round pick. I was so sick after that. I threw up.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Oh my God.
Wild.
No, no, like I think for the Kings, like you said too, like they want to appease DeMar. This really just feels like the Bulls of the West. I mean, Malik Monk is Kobe White. You got Zach and DeMar. Keegan Murray is a better version of what we could have hoped could have been Patrick Williams. I mean, I'm not going to disrespect Keegan Murray like that. He had a really good rookie year. I know he
Yeah.
regressed last year, but he's still way better than Patrick Williams.
Oh,
And
100%.
then, like you said, Sabonis kind of like a Vooch, but I would even say Sabonis plays a little bit more defense than Vooch. But he's an all-star caliber player and definitely is a good player. That team is just very weird because you're gonna have Malik Monk running the point guard, and I just don't know how that looks. I think Doug Christie's done a good job turning them around. I
Yeah.
mean, if you remember with Mike Brown, like it just seemed like everything was falling apart. And then they've traded De'Aaron Fox.
Mhm.
They've been on a winning streak since Doug Christie. I think from the last time I remember, I know it's changed, but he was
Yeah.
10-2 at his start as a coach for the Kings.
Yeah.
But Nick, I got to ask you this.
Mhm.
How long do you think it's going to take for the Spurs to become a real legit contender after this trade?
A legit contender. I think depends on what they do this upcoming offseason
Hmm.
to really answer that. Because if they could really make some moves, make another move or two, I think they got a chance to put themselves like top four into the West going into next season. I really believe that. I really, really do. They could remind me of like what Minnesota did last year when no one knew that Minnesota had that in them. So that could be the Spurs going into next season.
And I'm looking right now. I want to see. I'm trying to see if I can find some key free agents that will be
Hmm.
around in 2025, and
Yeah.
doesn't look like I'm able to find it right now. But what I will say is that if they're able to sign somebody in the offseason that really can take an impact, because now you have the point guard, you have the center. Stephon Castle probably plays the two.
Mhm.
So how do you find upgrades for Keldon Johnson or Jeremy Sochan where like they're good, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you can make that better because I
Yeah.
think that they're about I would say like two pieces away from
I think so too.
really being a legit contender
Almost like they
because
someone got like Kevin Durant. They decided to trade Castle and all these other people to get Kevin Durant, like something
I,
like that. If it
I
takes
feel like
one like that, it's like, oh shit, okay.
I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like we talk so much about these trades where we want to get like these like all the stars together, right? And it's like these big threes that have been formed. But
Yeah.
after looking at like even Phoenix with this big three, even though Bradley Beal has really kind of been like
Hmm.
it just feels to me that that era of the NBA has died and it's really like you're either a team with two really good players and you have role players around you or you have one really like superstar level player and you have a deep team around. And that's kind of what the NBA was more before I'm not even gonna say LeBron, but the Boston Celtics big three back in 2007, 2008. Before
Yeah.
that, that's kind of what the NBA was. Like you had teams that had two star players, but then you had a lot of teams that also had like a lot of good players and maybe
Yeah.
one really good player.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of where it's like I would caution the Spurs do not try and trade for like a aging star to
I
think that
agree.
this is going to accelerate the process. Like let it continue to cook. Like
Let these players develop.
Yeah, because you have a lot of good young players, and it's like if you just trade all your chips in now, it just feels like to me that might end up hurting them in the long run.
Mhm.
So, like that's my feeling on it. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I completely agree with you. I think the Spurs are in a really, really good spot right now. They finally got the player that they think would fit well with Wemby. Especially that pick and roll is going to be nice, man, with De'Aaron Fox and
Oh yeah.
Wemby for sure. Now, a lot of good young pieces. Just like Shams had to tell Mad Dog, they got draft capital. They could still make some moves if they want to expedite this process. But sometimes there's a lot of teams that have tried to expedite the process and they shot themselves in the foot for doing it. But
Yeah.
Spurs are very, very well run organization.
Oh
They
yeah.
know what they know what their expectations are for the rest of the season. They know. I think they already know like their plans going into the next offseason too. I just think that's how their front
Yeah.
office is. You know what I mean? So they think very differently than most front offices, and that's why they've had such success in our lifetime. So
Yeah.
the Spurs are in a good spot. I don't think you're going to make any more drastic moves. Maybe they
Probably not.
get a solid piece or two like going into the off season, and like if they shock people going into next season and it's the trade deadline and they're like a top 3 seed in the West, they might make a splash. Who knows, man? Who knows? But they're in
No,
a
that's
really,
true.
really good spot right now. I would be happy as a Spurs if I was a Spurs fan.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Like, as a Spurs fan, I would be very, very happy in terms of what you can get. And I'm just looking real quick, Nick. I did find one.
Mhm.
Could you imagine this?
Okay.
Could you imagine if Orlando lost Franz Wagner to them?
Oof.
He's a restricted free agent. So, I mean, that would be very hard.
Well, Orlando would match anything. They're gonna
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some of the guys, but could you imagine somebody like that? Like, that would be insane. I think also another one that would be interesting too is like, so you got Evan Mobley, who's going to be a free agent,
Mhm.
also on a restriction. Lauri Markkanen,
Mm.
that
You
could
pair
be.
him and Wemby together? Oh, yeah.
I think that that could definitely be a possible one. Jalen Brunson has a player option, but I don't think he's going to opt out of
Oh,
anything.
New York. He's staying in New
Yeah,
York. He
he's
loves
staying in
it
New
there.
York. But Lauri Markkanen, man, that could be an interesting one because
Corey
there's no
Larkin
restriction.
might be a very interesting one
If the
for sure.
Spurs, because you remember when they swung that huge signing for LaMarcus Aldridge back when they had Kawhi, and it was supposed
Yeah.
to be the Kawhi LaMarcus Aldridge Spurs.
Mhm.
This could happen because Danny Ainge is kind of I don't know like that. There's possibilities. Like I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's why I remember when we were talking about marketing a lot. And remember we brought this up like starting like maybe during like the offseason. Remember, marketing can't get traded at the deadline because he signed his contract the day after the
Mhm.
deadline. So that's why you don't hear him in any of these rumors right now. Or he might have been moved already, or he would have still been like the hot like
Yeah,
name guy.
he might have been signed already. This is an older one, but if Lauri Markkanen actually is a free agent, but I might be capping here. Um, if that is the case, I would definitely say like there's a lot that could definitely happen. Yeah, no, I mean even
Except
Markin
first,
is
like,
up for an extension on August 6th. He
two
signed an extension a day later. Is that and still be dealt by the trade. So I mean, maybe not necessarily a sign, but like maybe if they did do a trade, that would be somebody who definitely I'd be curious about.
Yeah.
But Nick, I just gotta say this real quick before we end this episode of the podcast. Where is Jimmy Butler going to end up? Because my man's is literally causing chaos in Miami, and Pat Riley has had enough
Standing up, but no one really wants him. It's crazy. He pretty much had a deal done with Golden State,
and
but
didn't want to sign.
he says he wouldn't sign. What's weird is like,
Why would you
according
not want
to
to?
reports, they're saying that he would either want to go to Phoenix or Golden State. So like if Pat Riley was trying to grant your wishes by getting one of the two teams, obviously Phoenix is difficult because of Bradley Beal's contract. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And there's no trade clause. So they can't move him unless they get his approval of, okay, he'll be fine going to that team. Obviously, you got to get 3, 4, 5 teams involved to make it work. So Pat Riley gets one of the two teams that you want to go to, but you won't sign an extension to stay. Jimmy Butler, man, I hope he's not going through something mentally. I don't know what is going on with him because ever since like his tenure with the Bulls, Minnesota was a big issue, and stuff like that. Just anywhere he's been going, man, like he's just always just caused issues. So great player though, but
Oh yeah.
who wants to sign a 35-year-old that's barely available in the regular season? He balls out in the postseason. Don't get me wrong, what it counts the most, and I understand that, but like I would not sign a man to a 2-year over $100 million contract where like you're hardly available in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's gonna be it's gonna be tough really to even move him at this point just because of everything he's done and also like you said as well, the
I
Bradley
can't tell
Beal.
you. I can't tell you a team.
It would
I
have
would
to
have
be
said the Warriors, but
yeah. I think it would have to be Phoenix at this point. I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, Golden State wants to make a trade, so I'm sure that somehow, some way, we might be having another podcast, Nick, very soon talking about the last of these trade deadline moves, especially if Jimmy gets traded in this like massive like four-team trade. So, guys, stay posted. We will have another video out soon. Nick, I just want to say, man, it's good to talk hoops again. It's been too damn long, and I definitely think that this is the wake up that the NBA needed. I hope that we're able to really see some good hoops for the rest of the year, some great matchups. We'll definitely have to watch that February 25th game, man, because that's going to be a really good game.
yeah.
Um, so, guys, if you have not, please subscribe, please share, like, comment, let us know what you think. What do you think about the trade so far? Do you think that Luka or the Mavericks will be the winners in the long term? And as always, guys, for me and Nick, this has been All Ball, No Foul. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the trade deadline, and we will see you soon.